Kate, a single mother and hard-working waitress at Mama Joe's Diner, a small-town restaurant. One day she finds a lost lottery ticket, a ticket that has the potential to change her life forever. What decision will Kate make, and how will that choice impact not only her, but her entire town? You'll discover everything in the full story, so be sure to stay with us. Before we dive in, let us know in the comments where you're tuning in from today, and if this story of courage and integrity resonates with you. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We're so glad you're here. Let's get started. The morning sun peeked over the horizon, painting the sky with soft hues of pink and orange. In the small town of Harmony Creek, life was just beginning to stir. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee and sizzling bacon filled the air, a familiar scent emanating from Mama Joe's Diner, the heart of this tight-knit community. Inside, Kate, a woman in her early 30s, was already hard at work. Her movements were quick and efficient as she wiped down tables, refilled salt shakers, and prepared for the morning rush. She was a single mother, her life a constant balancing act between work and raising her 8-year-old son, Tom. Her clothes weren't fancy. They were practical, designed to withstand the spills and splatters of a busy diner. Her hair was pulled back in a ponytail, but her eyes, a clear, bright blue, held a spark of determination. Kate loved her job at Mama Joe's. It wasn't glamorous, but it was honest work. She knew almost all the regulars by name, knew their orders by heart, and enjoyed the small town chatter and friendly faces. She felt like a part of the Harmony Creek family, and in a way, it was a family she'd made herself. She had come to the town alone after losing her husband, and the warm community accepted her, even with her single mom challenges. The morning customers slowly started to arrive, the usual faces with their usual routines. There was old Mr. Henderson, who always ordered a black coffee and a plain toast, and Mrs. Gable, who would linger over a cup of chamomile tea and a crossword puzzle. They all had their stories, and Kate, with her easy smile and warm demeanor, was always happy to listen. She was genuinely interested in other people and their lives. It was the reason people felt comfortable sharing their lives with her in their morning visits. Among the morning regulars was an elderly gentleman named Arthur. Arthur was a quiet man, with kind eyes and a gentle smile. He would come to Mama Joe's almost every day, usually around 9 a.m. He'd always sit at the same booth, always order the same thing, cup of black coffee and a slice of apple pie. He didn't talk much, but he seemed to enjoy the peace and quiet of the diner, and watching the world go by. He would tip generously and always politely thank Kate on her service. She knew he lived alone in a small house on the edge of town. He looked like he hadn't had anyone to talk to for decades, but she didn't let her mind get too deep into his troubles. That morning, like any other, Kate was buzzing around, making sure everyone had what they needed. After a particularly busy period, she was clearing tables when she spotted something unusual on the floor by Arthur's booth. It was a lottery ticket, crumpled slightly and seemingly abandoned. She picked it up, her brow furrowed in thought. Probably just someone's old ticket. She thought to herself as she headed to throw it away, but she couldn't shake the feeling that she should at least check it first. Something told her it was more than just a scrap of paper. Maybe it was just her imagination. But she always had this feeling about discarded lottery tickets. She paused in the kitchen and looked at the numbers. It took her a few moments to realize that the numbers were exactly the same as the previous night's winning numbers. Kate's heart started to pound in her chest. Could it really be true? She checked again and again, making sure she was not making a mistake. Yes, the ticket was a winner, a big winner. Her mind raced. This was a life-changing amount of money, enough to pay off all her bills, buy a new house, and give Tom the future she had always dreamed of for him. A wave of excitement washed over her, and for a moment, she let herself imagine what life could be like. She could quit her job, spend more time with Tom, and maybe even take a long, deserved vacation. But as quickly as the excitement had come, a shadow of doubt began to creep in. The ticket wasn't hers. She knew in her heart that someone had dropped it, perhaps without even realizing it. The idea of keeping it, even for a moment, felt wrong. Kate had always lived by a strong code of ethics, instilled in her by her own mother, who would always say, "What is right, and what is wrong is wrong. You'll have to live with your decisions. You'll have to sleep with your conscience." She knew the right thing to do was find the owner. But this decision was hard, incredibly hard, and she knew it would be a big test for her moral values. She went to the back of the diner and sat on the old chair she had at the back. She looked at the lottery ticket as she held it in her hand, and she kept thinking about the possibilities it held and the good she could do with it for her son. She kept thinking how hard she had worked since coming to the town, never asking for help, always doing what was right. But was this a test of her integrity or an opportunity she should take advantage of? It was such a big dilemma that she didn't know what to do. A couple of customers came in and she had to get back to work. She placed the ticket in her apron pocket, deciding she'd figure it out later. She took orders, made coffees, and served the regulars, all the while knowing she had a life-changing secret in her pocket. The weight of her decision kept pressing down on her. Her mind kept thinking of the lottery ticket while she served breakfast. She knew she had to make a decision, and she had to do it quickly. As the morning progressed, Kate started to pay more attention to the customers, watching their expressions, trying to discern who might be missing that ticket. She felt a pang of sadness as she watched families enjoying their meals together, couples laughing over coffee, kids smiling and eating pancakes. She wanted the same happiness that she saw them all enjoying. She wanted to feel the relief and happiness that came with knowing she had enough for her and Tom. She longed for a life that wasn't a constant struggle. Her thoughts kept going back to the elderly gentleman, Arthur. She remembered him at his usual booth, his eyes looking out the window. He'd seemed a little distracted that morning, as if something was on his mind. Could the ticket be his? She didn't want to assume, but she couldn't shake the feeling it might belong to him. Finally, around 9:00 am, Arthur walked into the diner, just as he did every morning. He settled into his usual booth, a slight smile on his face. "Morning, Kate," he said, his voice soft and gentle as always. "The usual for me, please." Kate nodded, trying to appear calm. "Morning, Arthur." "One black coffee and apple pie coming right up." As she walked to the coffee machine, her heart started to beat faster. She knew this was it. She had to make a decision now. This was a chance to give back a lottery ticket and change Arthur's life. But what if she was wrong? What if the lottery ticket didn't belong to him? How could she find the real owner? She was filled with anxiety and confusion. But she reminded herself that kindness, honesty, and integrity were the most important thing in life. She poured the coffee, took the slice of apple pie out of the fridge, and placed everything on a tray. As she approached Arthur, she took a deep breath and tried to calm herself. "Here's your coffee and pie, Arthur. Anything else?" she asked. "No, thank you, Kate. You're a real gem," Arthur replied. "You always know what I want before I ask." She smiled and was about to walk away, but she felt the need to talk to Arthur. "Actually," she began, her voice a little shaky. "Arthur, did you happen to buy a lottery ticket yesterday?" Arthur looked at her, surprised. "Well, yes, I did, actually. I always buy one at the store down the road on my way here each morning." "Why do you ask?" he said, looking at her with curiosity. Kate's heart leaped. Because I think I found it." She reached into her apron pocket and pulled out the crumpled ticket, placing it gently on the table. Arthur looked at it, his eyebrows raised in surprise. He picked up the ticket and looked at it closely. He pulled his glasses out of his pocket and placed them on the bridge of his nose, making sure he saw every number clearly. He looked at the numbers on the ticket and compared them to his paper slip he kept in his wallet. He put both things on the table, looked at the ticket in disbelief, then at Kate, and then at the ticket again. "Well, he whispered, his voice filled with disbelief. This is it. These are the numbers." He looked up at Kate, his eyes wide with astonishment. "I can't believe it. I was sure I'd lost it." But Kate's smile widened. "You did. You dropped it by your booth earlier, I think. I saw it, and thought I'd better check it out before throwing it away." A wave of emotions washed over Arthur: disbelief, relief, and then a deep sense of gratitude. He looked at Kate, his eyes filled with tears. "Oh, I don't know what to say, Kate. This is incredible. You're an angel," he said, his voice trembling. "I really thought my luck had run out long time ago. I would have never expected something like this to happen to me." Kate's face softened, and she had to take a moment to not start crying herself. "It's okay, Arthur. I am so happy you have it now. Honesty is always the best policy. Boot, you could have kept it. Kate, you found it. I wouldn't have blamed you one bit. You have every right to keep it," he replied. Kate smiled. "I did think about it for a minute, honestly. I thought about what I could do for my son. But it didn't feel right. It wasn't mine to keep," Kate replied, smiling at him. Arthur's eyes kept looking at the lottery ticket, still not believing it was real. This is a new beginning for me. I've lived alone for so long. I never thought something like this could happen to me," he said. "I've had a lot of tough years, and this really means a lot to me. Thank you, Kate," he continued. "I'm just glad it found its way back to you, Arthur," Kate replied. "Do you want some more coffee? It is on the house," she offered. "Yes, please, thank you," Arthur replied. "But you know what? I want to ask something of you. Please, can we celebrate this win together? Please, join me for dinner tonight," he asked. Kate was surprised by the offer, but it touched her heart. Arthur had been alone for a very long time, and maybe he just wanted someone to celebrate this big win with. And she was the one to give him the lottery ticket back, which made it an even bigger deal. She had to accept his offer, especially as he had been so happy she had given the ticket back. "Sure, Arthur, I'd love to join you for dinner. Where do you want to go?" Kate replied, smiling at him. "It's a surprise," Arthur said. "Let me treat you. Come to my place around 7. Kate nodded. Okay, I can do that." She continued with her work. She left Arthur to enjoy his coffee and apple pie while she served the other customers. As the day progressed, Kate couldn't help but feel a sense of warmth inside. She had made the right choice. She had done the right thing. The life-changing money may not be hers, but the feeling of inner peace and the joy of making someone else's life better was priceless. She kept thinking about the dinner with Arthur. She felt a little nervous, not knowing why. Was she getting involved in his life more than just a customer and waitress relationship? Maybe it was something she needed to start thinking about. Later that evening, around 6:45 p.m., Kate got ready to leave her house. She had left Tom with a trusted neighbor and put on a nice dress she wore for special occasions. Her heart was beating faster with anticipation. She didn't know what to expect, but she felt good for accepting Arthur's offer. As she walked towards Arthur's house, she couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and nervousness. What would the dinner be like? Was he really going to take her out? She got to Arthur's house, a quaint little place on the edge of town, and she knocked on the door. Arthur opened it, smiling brightly. He looked younger and more vibrant than she had seen him before. He had changed into a nice shirt and pants, and his face looked happier. It was evident how much the lottery ticket meant to him. "Kate, you look beautiful," Arthur said, his eyes sparkling. "Please, come in." But Kate stepped inside, surprised. The house, though small, was warm and inviting. The living room was filled with old books and antique furniture. But there was something more that caught her eye, a beautifully set dinner table in the dining room with a stunning view of the sunset. She was incredibly impressed at his setup and efforts. "Whoa, Arthur, this looks amazing," Kate said, her eyes wide with surprise. "You did all this yourself?" Arthur chuckled. "Well, I did have some help." He gestured to a woman who was standing near the kitchen. "This is my daughter, Emily. She flew in this morning when I told her the news. I asked her to come help me cook something special for our celebration." But Kate was shocked. Arthur had a daughter. It was another surprise. She had assumed he was all alone. "It's so nice to meet you, Emily," Kate said, smiling warmly. "I'm Kate." "It's lovely to meet you too, Kate," Emily replied. "Dad hasn't stopped talking about you since you found the ticket." Kate blushed, feeling a bit embarrassed but also touched by Arthur's words. He had a daughter, and yet he wanted her to celebrate this special day with him and her daughter. She couldn't believe it. This was more than just dinner, this was something special. The three of them sat down at the table and started their dinner. It wasn't just any dinner. Arthur and Emily had gone to great lengths to create a special, memorable feast. From the beautifully cooked chicken to the mashed potatoes and homemade gravy, everything was perfect. They talked and laughed, sharing stories and getting to know each other better. Arthur shared his memories and his life before moving to Harmony Creek, something that surprised Kate, because Arthur was usually a quiet man who didn't like talking much. Emily shared that her father was a very kind and loving man who didn't like to show his emotions, but in reality he was full of them. Kate felt happy to see Arthur, a lonely man, so happy and excited. As they ate, Arthur took Kate's hand and said, "Kate, I can never thank you enough for your honesty. Not only did you give me the ticket back, you gave me hope. I would like to do something for you." Kate's heart sank a little. She knew she hadn't done it for any rewards, but she knew Arthur felt the need to do something for her. "There's no need, Arthur, I didn't do it for any rewards," she replied. "Please please accept my gratitude. With this win, I can give back to the community that has given me peace and a good life. Emily and I want to create a trust to support single mothers in need. We will name it after you," Arthur said. Kate couldn't believe what she was hearing. She was speechless. She didn't know what to say. "I don't know what to say, Arthur." "That's so generous," Kate stuttered. "It's the least we can do, Kate. You've touched my heart with your honesty. You deserve a better life. And, this way, we can help many other mothers like you," Arthur replied. "And, Kate, Dad has already decided to invest a small portion into a fund for your son's education. We want Tom to have every opportunity in life," Emily added. Kate couldn't hold back her tears. They started flowing down her face. She couldn't speak. She was so overwhelmed by Arthur and Emily's kindness. She felt so much gratitude that she never thought she'd feel. She hugged both of them and thanked them, her voice filled with emotion. "Thank you so much. This is the most generous gift I've ever received. Thank you." The evening continued with laughter and stories, but the unspoken bond that had been created that night remained. Kate realized that by choosing honesty over personal gain, she had gained something far more valuable: a new family, a stronger sense of self, and a chance to make a real difference in her community. In the following weeks, things changed for Kate and for Arthur. Arthur and Emily established the Kate's Trust, which became a beacon of hope for single mothers in Harmony Creek and beyond. He also took her advice and got involved in the community more, volunteering at local events and organizing activities for the elderly. The lonely man that always sat at the booth was a man of the people now. He still went to Mama Jo's every morning to order his coffee and apple pie, but now he had a lot of stories to tell and was always looking forward to seeing Kate. As for Kate, she continued to work at Mama Jo's, her smile brighter than ever. But now she had a renewed sense of hope. Her son's education was secured, and a community that was there to support her. The money was never really the most important thing, but the feeling of peace that came with honesty. She was still the hard-working waitress, but she knew she had a very important role in her community and a chance to help others. She never forgot the crumpled lottery ticket she found on the floor. It was a reminder that sometimes the greatest rewards come when we do what is right, even when it's hard. It reminded her that honesty is truly the best policy, and that kindness, even in the smallest of acts, can change the world. The small town diner was now a symbol of hope, a place where unexpected fortunes can lead to even greater acts of kindness. And that's the story of Kate, a story about how one act of honesty led to a life-changing decision, not just for her, but for others too. It's a reminder that doing what is right can bring us more wealth than money ever could. We hope Kate's story touched your heart today. What did you think? Let us know in the comments below, and if you were moved by this tale of honesty and kindness, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming stories just like this one. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you in the next video.